Okay, I'm grateful that one of my subscribers gave me the idea to review this book. Of course, I told in other videos, if there is a book I have that you don't have, guys, and you want to know more about the content, hey, I'm very happy to make a review, because in this way it's kind of aim at what the actually people who watch the channel want to see. In this case, this book, it's really a kind of treasure trove, because it's made with all the games played by Petrosian, the 9th world champion, in the King's Indian. And so you have the possibility to see how deep was the understanding of Petrosian regarding this opening, the King's Indian defense. The game I want to show you today is game number 27, Nei Petrosian, played in Leningrad 1946. So imagine, just a year that the war was finished, right? So c4, and we are watching the game on a Shkolnik Soviet chess set that was probably used in the 1960s. So a set that by today is nearly 60 years old. Knight c3, e5. Okay, this, to see it like this, seems a kind of English opening. As you can see, is the typical Sicilian reverse. Now we will see how from an English opening it transforms itself in a King's Indian defense. Knight f3, d6, d4, knight b, d7, e4, and now, yes, you can see that it became a King's Indian, g6, bishop e2, bishop g7, castle, castle, rook e1, and rook e8. Here there is a diagram, and the author of the book says, why does black, whose only dream seems to be to open the long diagonal for the g7 bishop, long diagonal is this, delay the move e takes d4? Practical play shows that black should not give up control of the d4 square too early. So you must maintain the pressure, you must maintain the kind of tension, because here this is a tension in the center, right? But they are attacking each other. So that's the tension that there is. So it's important to maintain that tension. Unlike, say, in the Sicilian defense, where a similar exchange offers black a clear plan to attack the c2 pawn. Okay. Because in the Sicilian defense, when you take on d4, you open the c file, and so the attack is on here, especially if white castle on queen side. Okay. So here he also quotes, for example, Geller in his book The King's Indian Defense, published in 1980, featured the games Taimanov-Rzeszki, which was played when the variation was in its infancy, and so instead of rook e8, it was played pawn takes d4, right? But this is the funny thing, because the game he refers to with e takes d4, it's a game that was played in 1953. So about 7 years later. However, the problem is that in that time they didn't have computers, so they were going to try to improve the variations, but they didn't have an objective way of doing it. Bishop f1, a5, and b3. Not a very good idea. With one move, white weakens all of the dark squares. Okay? The dark squares. Because let's see. And takes away the support of the knight on c3. Yeah, before it was defended, now it's not defended. But what should have done? Because if you don't tell us what he should have done, it's a little difficult, right? So maybe this, maybe, who knows? b3, okay. E takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight c5, f3, and c6. So white supported the central pawn, black took away two outposts that white has made. Bishop e3 and d5. Here it has the enthusiasm of youth. In his mature years, Petrosian probably would have preferred the simple knight f d7, which makes a little more sense. Again, it's a question of also maintaining this kind of central fight. d5 tends to simplify, so it's not really good, right? Let's see what happened. After d5, it was played e takes d5, c takes d5, knight d, b5, knight d goes to b5. So now the situation is kind of changed. This is an isolated queen pawn, okay? Let's see. Knight a6 and c takes d5. So white now has the isolated queen pawn. Knight b4, as you can see, immediately black attacks it, but the problem is that black doesn't control the square in front of the isolated queen pawn, and that's what you really need to do. That's what you really need to do. Apart that we have seen some games with IQP, and so one could refresh his memory with those games. Okay. So d6, bishop f5. Obviously, the more it goes forward and the more it becomes a thorn in black's territory. Rook c1. And here there is another diagram. What do you think black should have played in this position? Okay. I would advise you to take this 3 minutes and try to pause the video and then see if your analysis is the same as Petrosian. Petrosian played rook takes e3. Boom. It is too late to retreat, and queen rook c8 would have been a bad move. Okay, rook takes e3, and there is bishop h6. Boom. Now remember that if you played this is not good because this refutes it. So this is a good move because it's forking one of the two. Right? Rook e1. Rook c8 and knight d4. Okay. Bishop takes c1. And here white makes a decisive mistake. He should have played queen takes c1. I don't know why he didn't, because it makes sense, right? But instead he played bishop c4. And the game continued with bishop f4, rook e7, so he's attacking f7, queen takes d6, Knight takes f5, and here there is bishop takes h2. Boom. King h1, g takes f5, queen e2, king g3, rook takes f7, king h8, knight b5, and now black makes the last move, which is queen f4, and white resigned. This is very interesting. Obviously the point is check, right? It goes here, check, it goes here, mate. So I hope you enjoyed this beautiful game by Petrosian in a book that is totally dedicated to the King's Indian defense and to the games of Petrosian. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection of his game, great annotations, and so it's definitely worth it if you think that you want to learn the King's Indian defense. It's even a better method than just memorizing stuff. Here you can actually enjoy the games of a world champion. Thank you very much for watching.